Alrighty.
Mike, my brother, how you feeling?
I'm good, Palm. How are you, buddy?
I'm excellent, man. Let's turn that camera on so I can see that shining, airy, seasoned face. Boom!
Boom, there we are.
There we are. How you feeling today, dude?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm just excited to be talking to you as always. So yeah, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Has it been a year since I went on your show?
I think it might have been. Yeah, a lot of stuff has been going on. I mean, we both had a lot of stuff going on with life, but yeah, you're due for a return on mine, so we're definitely
Yeah,
gonna
definitely. I'm glad we're getting a chance to get caught up.
same.
Yeah, yeah. All
How's your
right.
dad, by the way?
Dad is doing okay. It's a lot going on. He has cancer. I don't know if you saw my post on my personal page, but like, yeah, he was recently diagnosed with cancer, and it's just been tough, honestly, like the last several months. But through God, through family, through friends, we've been able to like just weather the storm and kind of take it day by day. But it ain't easy. I'm not gonna tell you it's oh, we got that. Well, we got this, but it's like it's been rather difficult, but hey, man, I'm crossing into new territories with this, and he'd do anything for me. I'm an only child, so you know,
I'm,
I'll
I'm
definitely extend the prayer that and the thoughts that you gave. So appreciate that, brother.
of course, man. No, my mom just went through it not too long ago. I'm an only child myself. She had inflammatory breast cancer, so I get it.
Oh, really, man? We got a lot in common. I find like more and more every time we talk, there's more like similarities.
Mhm. And I'm a very God-driven man myself. I believe, he's here. We are here for a reason why we do what we do. It's a beautiful thing, man.
Amen. So you got a birthday coming up?
April 13th. Yes, I'll be 31.
31 flavor year. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll be 31 in October myself.
I got maniacs around me, my heart still feeling vacant. Demons still talking, getting used to the cadence. Cookie smoke, take it to the nose, I love the fragrance. Careful what you take it, cause LSD is dangerous. I keep pages, I keep scripts, I'm a walking testament. LSD my element, and I feel so elegant. Everything irrelevant. Yeah, I'm geeking, bitch, I'm vibing, can you feel the resonance? Yeah.
Ready, man. Let's rock it.
All right. What's up, everybody? You are now tuned into the Thickness Protection Program. This is the podcast celebrating body positivity for the adult content creator community. If you don't already know, I am the Thickness Pro. We have a special edition of the Thickness Protection Program today because I am joined by my good peoples in the podcasting realm, a guy who actually, around the time I started this podcast, had interviewed many of the BBWs who had gone on to get down with the thickness. Michael Larkin is here, man. How you doing?
I'm well. I'm happy to be on your show, man. You do a lot of great work, Dylan, and we're both getting down with the thickness. We love beautiful and amazing women, and I'm happy to be here to talk with you today about it.
Right, right. So explain to the people, how you got started podcasting. I know you do a lot of wrestling and MMA coverage and content of, the martial arts and those sports. But tell me, what is your podcast and the things you're involved all about? Pardon the interruption, protectors, but this is Pimpin' Palm, the Mac and Memoji. And before we go any further in this interview, I'm gonna need you to click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notification bell. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you are following the podcast. And please leave a rating before you get up on out of here. Now back to the Thickness Protection Program. Pimpin' Palm, the Mac and Memoji. You dig?
We want thickness.
Absolutely. So I started podcasting in 2015 with my best friend Steve Nicoforo, who we've been a friend since high school, still my brother to this day. We do some shows together called the Steve and Mike Show. We talk about current events. We're very funny. We let it flow. We branched out to On the Mic with Mike, where I've interviewed a lot of talents, including the BBW stars like yourself. We've interviewed such as Julie Ginger, Kimmie Kaboom, many of that nature. And then I branched out to do the LFC, the Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast, which is a little bit of MMA, a little little bit of wrestling and a little bit of clothing, which I've had the pleasure of doing now for about 2 to 3 years. And it got picked up. We're on the Roku network, the LFC network. So I've dipped my toe into a lot of things, and I love giving people the platform to tell their story because everybody has a story to tell. And I'm very multifaceted. I like everything from all facets of life. So yeah, it's just because I wanted to, give people the platform, tell their story. And my parents had a background in radio, which is not too shabby. So I came through all walks of life, family, and just my overall experience,
That's another thing we have in common. Our parents having a background in radio, because my dad was a radio programmer for years and, was a record exec. And growing up, like, our garage was just filled with CDs. Like, I never really had to buy a CD until I was like 13, and then it was Gorilla's Demon Days. I never really had to buy a CD until then, but yeah, in terms of our families both being in radio, that's amazing that we have that in common, and we both kind of like fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. It's cool that we both have that in common.
Of course, man. Like for me, like I'm like you, I didn't have CDs until like later on, like the 90s, 2000s when my mom and dad left the radio station. But like we have like old stuff. I'll give you an example, like John Cicada and just like so much stuff from the music realm. It's just, I love what I do, man. There's so many music eclectic stuff, and coming from the world of radio, there's so many personalities. There's so much different genres. It's a wonderful experience for everyone who's not been involved and seen the inner workings of the radios.
Yeah, for real. Oh, hey, Katie.
My cat Bo, I'll put him up here. Hey, buddy, you want to say hello?
We love pets on Thiccness Protection Program. For sure. All right. So tell me a little bit about like where you grew up. I know you're originally from Long Island, New York, or is it Rochester?
Yes,
Long Island. Okay. And you're currently living in South Carolina?
Yes, sir. So originally from Long Island, New York. I grew up in East Islip High School, which famous alumni come from there. Boomer Esiason, famous football player. Ralph Macchio, the famous actor who went there as well. So it's a pretty extensive alumni. And yeah, growing up on Long Island, man, it's the suburbs of New York. It's just a lot of great people and a lot of fun times. And moving now to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which is the tourist capital, one of the many tourist capitals of the world. I've been down here as a summer home since '98, but now we officially moved here in 2018. Man, I got family here. I got family back on New York. So it's a home away from home, but it's two great homes that I'm very pleasured and a privileged to, call home and just be around great people.
Nice. Okay. So that's one more thing we have in common, actually. I've been to North Carolina, but not South Carolina, but my dad used to live in Sumter.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if I feel like I might have told you this before, because I tell everybody I meet from South Carolina this story, but do you know a radio station called the Big DM?
I do, yes.
Yeah, Pops used to work there back in the day.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah, crazy. That was like before we were born, though. Did you go to college for broadcast or anything?
No, it's actually funny. So I was not at college, but right out of high school, I went into work. I got into market research, which I still do today as a job, as opposed to what I do at podcasts. And like, I love the market research realm. Now, mind you, everything has its good and bad to it, but market research provides a lot of surveys, a lot of data collection, really dipping your toe into opinions of like what people think in regards to survey and stuff. So that kind of had a big influence in podcasting as well. So I got the experience from there as far as the communications go. So yeah, no, right out of high school, I just dipped my toe into the workforce, and I rolled on to podcasting, and here we are. So yeah, I did not go to college, but I did work and grind for these past 8 years now. Jesus Christ. Yep.
Right. 8 years. Okay. Yeah. So I started Palm 8 years ago. You've been podcasting and doing different shows for 8 years. So that's crazy. We're definitely kindred spirits. You know what I mean?
Well, we're entrepreneurs, man. We like to do, as they say, DIY, do it yourself. You have to go for it no matter what anybody thinks. And that's the right mindset to have. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy soul. It's the way to go, man.
Exactly. Okay. So who are some of the journalists and podcasters and radio hosts, media personalities who you admired?
Well, when I was growing up, 106.1 BLI was the big one where my parents worked. So I have to definitely, of course, say my parents. So there was a gentleman by the name of Steve Harper, who was a very good radio broadcaster back in the day as far as BLI goes. I really just like anything associated with BLI as far as podcasters go. I mean, there's so many out there. Like, for me, like I love professional wrestling. There's a lot of great professional wrestling podcasts out there. The guys from PW Insider, great journalists and really analyze, dissect, and decipher wrestling. I think for me, any podcaster in general, like I really don't have a particular favorite because there's so many out there. There's a wide array that I just like hearing different opinions.
I like it. Yeah. And when it comes to wrestling, I never was a huge fan, but my biggest, I guess, extent into the wrestling world was way back in the day, talking about like grade school, WWF SmackDown, and it's old because it still has WWF on it, but WWF SmackDown, Just Bring It on PS2 was my shit. So, I just love those old school aesthetics of how, they had the videos backstage of them talking shit to each other and then getting them in the ring with the mic, and, just both of us being 90s babies and kind of growing up with that element of pop culture, I think manifests itself in the content. Wouldn't you say, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. And man, you're bringing me back there with Just Bring It. Like, I love that game, a very short season mode. And for those that don't know, there's so many great wrestlers in there. One of the unlockables is Fred Durst. You can play as Fred Durst in that from Limp Bizkit.
I did not know that. That's rad.
Yes, if you really unlock and go deep into it, you can play as Fred Durst, which is hilarious. But I digress. No, the aesthetics of the arcadey, imagery and everything from that particular time period. Now we're talking about 22 years here, but god dang, man, yes, I love the old school video games, the arcade flavor, and those were really big. Like from the WCW games that we had on PS1, the NBA games I was totally into, just everything, just in general from that particular time period showcases nostalgia, but it just shows the simplicity of what we had in imagery wise and just how everything made up the whole entire content of the game.
Right. I mean, you're taking me back too, bro, because I was just hanging out I just put out an interview with a guy named Alex Ochoa, who's a music producer from here in LA. And when I pulled up on him in the studio, we were playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. And I forgot that like they had Darth Maul as a secret character on there. And I forgot how like Activision was the shit because their cross promo was amazing. How Tony Hawk Underground 2, you could be Spider-Man. They had so many hidden characters. I remember in 4, I think you could be Boba Fett, like because they were doing the Star Wars games at the time. So those were some good times.
Yeah, and for me, like I was always like, again, to equate it to music, like I always loved the Def Jam Vendettas and the Def Jam's Fight for New York. Like that was my shit back in the day.
Yeah.
Just the mix of music and wrestling. Like for those who've never played it, definitely go out of your way because it's a very interesting season.
That's another thing we got in common because music and video games are just such, my heart and soul.
Yep.
Yeah. What is your favorite video game soundtrack era?
Oh my goodness. And I'm going to put this in because I'm a basketball fan. For those who've not heard the NBA Ballers Phenom soundtrack, ask around because I know me, I'm a baller. Like that's a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
So
now welcome to the world of the virtual athlete. Yeah, yes. I remember that.
MC Supernatural. Yes, sir.
Oh, bro, I've interviewed Supernatural a long time ago.
Awesome.
Like I was barely getting started. That was only on paper, but yeah, long time ago. Shout out to Supernat. Awesome. I remember seeing him freestyle at Rock the Bells. This is like 08, I think. But nice. Classic. Yeah, that was before, people recorded everything. I had some flip phone back then. I probably couldn't even get a good video of that if I wanted to, but same. Yes, and then Supernat was on he had that song Internationally Known on the Tony Hawk Underground soundtrack.
Yes, sir.
Good stuff. Okay. Well, when it comes to your interview style, can you explain a little bit how you research a guest?
So for me, it's just obviously the internet is your friend, as they say. But I also like to equate the fact is you could go onto their website and just see like a snippet of whether it be for adults, like the pornographic films, or whether wrestling. There's a lot of different stuff you can check out on YouTube. I think for me, it's just because the knowledge that you have about the game, I like to do it very much like, okay, here's some bullet points, but let's let it free flow. Let them like have a fun conversation, see where it goes. Because like us all here, we're people. Mind you, they get to do a lot of great things in different facets of life and different endeavors, what have you. But at the same time, they're people. You're getting to know that person, making a connection, eye contact. So for me, it's just mainly either maybe some bullet points, but mostly I like to let it free flow and see where that takes us. Just let it go with the flow.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about podcasting is really the art of recording conversation. And I think this is kind of taken the lane. I've said this since I started listening to podcasts like way back in early high school, like 9th grade. This is kind of taking the lane of talk radio or of talk shows. But and it's crazy. I've been sharing this with a lot of my guests lately. Like back in high school, like 18, going off to college, I was like, I want to have a talk show one day. But I did not ever fathom that I'd be interviewing like plus size sex workers and that would be the talk show,
Well, first and foremost, I think what's great about it is too, with what you do, it's a different element because not a lot of people, and I'll say this about myself too, when you start interviewing talent who are in the adult entertainment industry and sex worker, people look at you like, Why? And my first instinct would be, why not? Because if you look at it, there's a lot of stuff that goes in front of the camera, behind the camera, and overall it's sensuality. It's overall, think of it like you would see with any movie. It's just them applying their crafts, but in just another extension of what you would see from a sensual scene in a movie. So there's so many layers that go into it. Like we talk about modeling, but it's just like people look at you weird, but also they have that curiosity factor. So it goes both ways and how they want to view your said product.
Couldn't said it better myself. What really opened your mind to like saying, okay, I'm gonna interview, and I also got to know who was the first, but I'm gonna interview a BBW adult actress. Like, I've listened to your ones with Aston Martin, Breana Khalo, Kimmie Kaboom, Monique Lustly, and they've all been on my show as well. So like, I'm curious to know like what made you feel like, okay, maybe I could start interviewing these ladies.
Sure. So I think my first ever one that I interviewed was back in 2016. Her name was Stacy Starr, and she was a cougar slash BBW, beautiful woman. I really just got, to talking with her through Messenger, and we talked about doing a shows, and everything finally came into fruition. So it's really just about the art of getting to know your guest and explaining what it's about, your interviewing style, because, some people can be a little bit uncomfortable with a little bit of trepidatious, but it's all about accommodation and comfortability, which is like I have to do with every guest. But also at the same time, like some of my other ones, like you mentioned Monique, like you mentioned Kimmie, Julie Ginger, Aston Martin, like it's all about chain reaction, as I like to say. Who knows who as well? Because if they like how you interviewed their friend, maybe they want to come on. So there's a lot of great stuff from the chain reaction side of things, and just overall networking is really what blossomed into interviewing a lot of these great talents, as well as certain people that they're associated with and who they've done scenes with.
Nice. Yeah, it definitely has been the same thing for me, like a chain reaction, because, I was interviewing like a lot of underground hip hop artists, as and, different musicians who I would find and want to get to know. But for me, there was always this hip hop connection that would lead me to getting these ladies on. No pun intended. But yeah, by the time Monique Lustly and Chanel Barbie, that was a year ago. And hey, by that time, that was my first face-to-face interview. And then ever since then, it was like, it's just been all that you see, so here we are.
Right. And it's funny, like I started interviewing like underground rappers too that did some SoundCloud stuff. And then you get into musicians, like one of my favorite interviews, and I'll put this out there. For those that remember Raquel, who had that song In a Dream, My Love, You Will Find My Heart from the 90s. I had the pleasure of interviewing her. And I've gotten to interview people like Christy Knowings from All That and Summer Sanders from
Nice.
Figure It Out. Thank you.
Summer Sanders.
Yes,
Gold?
sir. Yep. Gold medalist, Summer Sanders.
Gold. Nice.
But no, that's the thing too, man. I think what I always like to say to people is give it a chance. What's the worst thing that they're going to say is no. So for me, it's just starting out small, working your way up. That's how it goes with anything that we see in this thing that we call life. So it's just about putting yourself out there, making yourself known, and really going full throttle into it.
Okay. Now, on top of podcasting and all that you do in the content world, do you work a regular 9 to 5, or do you have other businesses?
Yes, I work a regular 9 to 5. I work for Dynata, which is a market research company, does a lot of great data collection and surveys. It's it's a big promotion as far as market research goes. I like doing that because, again, it sets up for what we do here. Surveys, is finding different opinions, conversation. Right. So that's something that I love doing. I mean, it's something that I have a background in ever since I got out of high school. So that's something that still holds near and dear to my heart to today.
Love that. Okay. So how do you balance you being a content creator?
Right. So I work normally, and then sometimes, I just do my shows in the evening. Like my schedule used to bounce around. So I would do shows in the morning, maybe some in the evening, what have you. But now it's more stricter to just the evening work. Let me get my work done. It's like the, party time, part-time party man. I work hard all day, and then at night I party. This is my version of partying. You know what I'm saying? I have to do the podcasting side of things. So it's balancing working, getting the job done, doing, priorities, responsibility, and then your responsibility as a content creator at night. So that's how I look and juggle it.
Right. Now, you're in a much smaller market than I am. And like, I am not trying to rub that in your face. It's just like, so what I want to know is I've seen pretty much nothing but virtual interviews from you. Do you ever get the opportunity to do face-to-face interviews?
Probably. I mean, for me, man, I think it's funny you bring this up. Excuse me. Like we're talking about doing some stuff LFC possibly when I get back out to Vegas. So that'll be my first ever time doing some face-to-face interviews. But yeah, mostly it's just been virtual, but I can't wait for that opportunity to arise. We're definitely talking about that for the future.
Right. I remember, I think it was last year in May, I was headed out to Vegas for the Lovers and Friends Festival. And I
Yes,
think you might have been out there around the same time doing something for LFC. So I was wondering if
yes.
you got the chance to make any content while you were out in Vegas.
It was a very quick trip, so I'm looking to next time because we had a couple days. I did the ring announcing gig for LFC. You're correct, for at the FSW Arena in Las Vegas. So I was a week before you were, so we just missed each other.
Ah, okay. Just missed each other. Right. So another thing that we have in common is that way back in the depths of your SoundCloud, I did find that you have album reviews, but you're not like reviewing the latest and greatest. I saw you reviewed like R. Kelly TP2, or you reviewed Chocolate Factory. I'm like, man, this guy is digging back into some early 2000s R&B and with a new school twist. So tell me about like your album reviewing side.
Oh, the pop culture shows, yes. So I've done reviews on like R. Kelly, like you mentioned, TP2.com, Chocolate Factory. It's just stuff I grew up with. Like there's one in there I have of Donnell Jones's Where I Want to Be album, which featured You Know What's Up with Lisa
Classic.
Lopez. Yes. I've been talking about Coffee Brown and the After Party, little John B action. So it varies.
After the party.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
these are some gems.
Yep.
Yep.
So for me, it's a wide array. It's stuff that I love. It's stuff that I grew up. It's CDs that I have, and it brings also to the newer generation. For those who may not know about it, well, you're gonna know about it, and you're gonna love it. It's like Back to the Future, but your kids will love it.
Right. You don't know about when it comes to you loving early 2000s R&B, is that like your go-to genre? How much does that play into like the kind of content you create, and like, just talk to me about some of the early 2000s R&B gems that you're fuel your day.
Oh, geez, it's very extensive. Like I love the My Name Is Joe album. Give me some I Want to Know. Give me some Stutter, and especially the Mystical remix. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I want to know.
But that's my stuff, man. Like, and we mentioned Donnell Jones, Coffee Brown, John B. I think it even extends to like the Craig David with Fill Me In. Let me know
Fill
what's
me
up.
in. Yep.
I'm trying to think what else. Like also Jimmy Cozier with She's All I Got. Give me a little Glenn Lewis. Don't you forget it. Maybe even Sunshine Anderson. Heard it all before. Like around that time period.
Ooh, nice.
Yes. So around that time period, like early 2000s, and plus one of the big radio stations back in New York was 98.7 Kiss FM, which is now 107.5. So if you give me that extensive playlist of R&B, I'm good. So it's a mixture of radio and basically what I've heard on television from like, MTV, VH1, 106 and Park with Free and AJ. Like it brings it back, man.
Right. Have you ever thought of like finding producers online who can like do your theme song, but flip it with some early 2000s twist?
I've thought about it. It's definitely something I would consider for the future, but right now, no. I mean, I do my own little like intros, but I would think about it for the future. It's definitely something to ponder.
Because I could kind of hear you kind of coming onto that. You Know What's Up, Donnell Jones and Left Eye, kind of that kind of groove when your show starts. I'm like,
say
okay,
what,
Mike.
say what, yep, say what. You know all about it, baby. Yep.
Yeah, I saw Donald Jones a few years ago live, and Where I Want to Be is one of my go-tos on karaoke.
I mean, how can you not? They love someone, you just don't treat them bad.
Oh, how I feel so sad now.
That I wanna...
She's crying her heart to me. Next time I go to Vegas, I want to hit up Julie Ginger because she loves going to karaoke.
Oh, man, Julie Ginger is such a warm and beautiful personality. I'll be right there with you.
Have you ever met any of the BBW stars you've interviewed, or any BBW porn stars, period?
Well, a lot of the LFC girls have done some adult work, so I could say the extent of my adult industry talents have been a lot through within the LFC, but not BBWs yet, but definitely something I want to in the future.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Speaking of which, when you are a podcaster, you're an interviewer, but you're covering people who are athletes and then adult actors and actresses, how does it make you feel that you're accepted into a world of people who do not do the same thing that you are, but you often get grouped in with these people? Because that's kind of what's happening to me now.
I mean, it's fine. Like, I think both you and I, and I'll say this to you with the utmost sincerity and respect I have for you, Dylan, you're a very creative soul, and we're a very eclectic people. We like a lot of different things. No, you're very welcome. No, it's true. What I like about it, I don't mind it because, I mean, I'm accepted to it. And any guest that I have, it's all about, like I mentioned, accommodation, comfortability, but there's that tact and professionalism that we all learned from an early age. So it's all about just being professional to these people, being more open-minded, as a society and really just appreciating the art that they do. So for me, you can link me up with whatever you want. Whatever I do, I'm going to do the best that I can at it and be the best at it. So, people can look up and see what they want to about my work and see what my extensive collection is, my extensive work is. But I think it's just like, if you want to lump me up or, lump me into something, fine. I do what I do and I love what I do. So if you're not loving what you're doing, then why do it?
Exactly. Now, would you ever consider like attending, like I'm going to Chicago Exotica in 19 days?
Nice.
Or would you ever consider going to like Exotica or XBiz Awards or any of these gatherings for the adult industry and get content for your platform?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely something that I've thought about in the future. And first of all, have fun at Exotica. I saw you
Thank
post.
you.
That's awesome. You're welcome. Definitely something in the future that I have pondered, man. Like I said, I've had a lot going on in my personal life and I'm starting to get back into the swing of things, but that's definitely something that's on my list. I think when you have such a great award show, like you mentioned, XBigs and Exotica, the fans are so electric, the content creators are there, the performers are so excited, they're looking good, smelling good, the whole nine. It's one of those things too as well. It's a great atmosphere and you want to be around the right atmosphere and just enjoy your surroundings.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. That's absolutely true. Okay. Well, as far as what you have cooking for the rest of the year, we just started April. What is next for Mike Larkin and On the Mic and the various brands you take part of?
Well, for me, it's more about the LFC stuff, beauty, strength, and dominance, which stands for beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. We're going into season 6 right now of the LFC podcast on the LFC network on Roku. It's more putting out those contents and, bringing a lot of great people, not just the LFC personnel, but a lot of great women and showcasing them for the beauty, strength, and dominance that they all exude and accentuate. For my On the Mic with Mike series, it's more just adult stars, music, whoever I can get my hands on, also wrestling wise. It's just for me, as long as I'm getting up and God gives me the breath and gives me the overall blessing of waking up every day, I'm just going to keep going, man. Doesn't matter, interviews, pop culture, what have you. I'm going to put out the best content. And my focus is just to make people smile, evoke emotions, and just have fun. Because at the end of the day, it's all about having fun.
Exactly. Yeah, I have to remind myself before any interview, like it's about having fun.
Yes,
like,
sir.
please make it fun for the guests, make it fun for yourself. Because if you look bored on camera, that interview is going to sink. But speaking of, are all the podcasts you put out, are they all video?
As of right now, yes. So it's funny. So when I first started doing the LFC podcast, it was all audio. And then by episode 108, when Roku came into fruition, we started doing video. So we're almost 100 episodes into for video. And for my other shows, I just started like not too long ago, probably like maybe under a year ago now, really getting
Nice.
the video front. I've just enjoyed it. And I think for me, it's confidence. And I think for a lot of people, you don't want to be on camera. You know what I'm saying? You're a little shy, a little timid. But I think like we talked about, once you open yourself up and let people in as well and just showing yourself, it goes a long way. It boosts confidence. It just showcases your hard work as well. And really that overall instant connection with your guests and just your overall content.
I get it. So do you edit all your own stuff too?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. One man band. That's usually how it is for content creators these days, unless you're, part of an agency or you're working for a company or you're a freelancer. It pretty much is all going to be on you. So that's the beauty of it. And that's the challenge of it too.
It is, but you know what it is? I like a challenge and I like to edit and I like to put the best work forward into it because it breaches and branches out to the content and it really just showcases the hard work that goes into it.
I do. It's time consuming, but my favorite part of this is like often producing it. Like just this sound goes there, cut away to this, these sound effects, these music beds, these funny little creative things that you can do in there. It's all of it from the clips to, picking the guests, picking the locations. Like, I just love creating content and like putting it all together. Just like you really wear your producer hat when you make this content, wouldn't you say?
Oh, agreed wholeheartedly. And I mean, I look at it from a stance too as well. Like you talk about putting in music in bed right in the right spots. Everything, you want to have a nice flow to it. You don't want to see, very wonky or what have you. You want to have everything from it's all about precision and everything that goes into it. You want to have the right precision and the right, outcome, the right element. Everything is a process. And I think, as it's very cliche, but it's very true, you have to trust that process in anything that you do.
Yes, trust the process. Now, is some Mike merch on the way?
Man, it's something like, again, like this is stuff that I've been thinking about doing, but definitely I would love to. I believe right now there is a beauty, strength, and dominance t-shirt that y'all can check out, and I'll send you the link as well. So there's some shirts for LFC, but yeah, that's about the only thing right now.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Is there anything else as far as like your ambitions as a podcaster or as a creator that you want to get your hands dirty and feet wet with?
I mean, for me right now, it's just like we talk about in-person stuff, but I think just continuing on the ring announcing side of things and just putting out the content that I do for my shows, Capital Championship Wrestling, Lingerie Fighting Championships. I think it's just finding new ways to do different shows, different what have you. Can I come up with this for a show? Can I come up with that? I think it's just diving into other stuff and really expanding one's mind and horizon. So I think whatever I do and whatever I stop into, because the mind never stops going. I think as a creative person yourself, Delman, mind never stops going. So I think once I find that, once I set my mind to whatever I want to do, I'm just going to go for it because that's all we can do.
Exactly, man. Well, Mike, it was a pleasure. We definitely got to do this again. I kind of want to start doing these on regular basis, as if we can, interview people together, or if we can just, start another thing, eventually further down the line, man. I love what you're doing. And, you were one of the early guys to tap in with Thiccness Protection Program. And it was for the record. And I just want to be clear about this. There were so many guests on TPP who Mike already had interviews with, and I listened to those for research purposes. Monique, Breana, Kimmie Kaboom, Missy Deep, Aston Martin, Julie Ginger. Hey, you had a lot under your belt, and if it wasn't for those kick-ass interviews, I wouldn't have been able to do kick-ass interviews myself. I could have, but it would have been more difficult.
Well,
you made it easier.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. And I love what I do. And I love all those women. And I think what you've got going on here with Thiccness Protection Program and the body positivity and the down with the thickness, I think it's a great brand. And I can't wait to see you going forward. And that is definitely something I would love to do as a little tag team interview with you, doing our own show. Like, you let me know, man. Creative juices never flow. And I will say this. Folks, if you want to hear Palm on my show on the Mic with Mike, I'll send you the YouTube links. Everybody can subscribe and check out our show. But yeah, man, I'll invite you on LFC podcast as well, because you and I are both men of beauty, strength, and dominance. And I think we'll have a great conversation. So
definitely, let's keep this going.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure. Go ahead and plug your everything, social media, where they can check out LFC podcasts and all of that stuff.
So you could check me out on Twitter at SMShow1 or at MCL92. That is my show page and my personal Instagram. My personal Twitter, excuse me. My Instagram is Larkin_92 and MLarkinMB. Show Instagrams and personal Instagram. My TikTok is Mike Larkin 802, I believe it is. I'm not really on there as much, but y'all can check me out on TikTok. LFCfights.com from everything lingerie fighting championships. You can check me out there. And StephenMikeShow.com for all the content that you get from the audio side of things. We're on different various platforms, iHeart, Stitcher, TuneIn, Anchor, wherever you get your audio podcasting needs. And of course, my YouTube, Mike Larkin 92 for LFC work, on the Mic with Mike, pop culture stuff, and just a wide array of content. And please subscribe, and I hope you all enjoy.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you, Mike, for getting down with the thickness. This has been Thiccness Protection Program. You can check out more at youtube.com/PalmOfficial. You can check it out on Spotify. That's Thiccness Protection Program with 2 C's. Twitter is at Thiccness Pro. Brand new TikTok is also at Thiccness Pro. And for all my underground music lovers, you can follow and DM if you need promo at Palm on Instagram and TikTok. And Twitter got hacked. New Twitter is at ChillinDylan323. But yeah, thank you again, Mike. Until next time, we want thickness.
We want thickness.
Yeah.
We want thickness.